Hello, friends. Okay, today is part 3 of my breast cancer journey. And so today we are going to go through surgery, radiation, and kind of recovery from all of that. So whenever I left you the last episode, we were talking about like just the initial news, right? Like things how did everything play out? How did I learn about everything and all that? And so now we're getting up into the actual surgery date. So it was about, like I said the other day, I feel like it was about right at 2 months after my diagnosis. Once I found out that I had it, that's whenever I ended up having surgery. And so my surgeon did tell me that I could choose because of the cancer that I had, which was um, invasive ductal carcinoma. Um, that I could choose a few different things. So I could do a lumpectomy. I could choose to have a mastectomy just on my right side, which was the breast that had the tumor. I could also do a double mastectomy. There were many options that really they honestly, I believe once, at least for me, once I was diagnosed with breast cancer, then they were going to allow me to have a double mastectomy if that's what I chose. But I am definitely a person that, honestly, almost immediately, as soon as my surgeon started talking to me, I was like, can we just do the minimal amount, right? Because once he started talking and started talking about the mastectomy and all of these great things, I was just like, you know, the the cancer seemed pretty minor, and so I hate to say that because cancer is cancer and it all sucks, right? But it was very small. It was still stage 1. It had been a very slow growing tumor, and so I could have had it for even years before we found it. Um, so with everything in place, whenever he started talking about the lumpectomy, I was like, yeah, that's it. That's I think what I would rather do. Mainly because I just wanted the least invasive that I had to do. And then also in the last episode, I was talking about the fact that I had a ruptured implant that also had to come out. And so for that, I knew there was going to be a little more that I was going to have to deal with, just simply because that implant was there was a problem with it. So once I spoke to my plastics doctor and she gave me all of my options, which um, for that, if you're curious about that, so what they were going to have to do is they were going to have to. So what I was telling you about earlier in the last episode was that whenever you put implants in your body immediately forms, or it starts to form, a protective boundary between the implant and your tissue. And so then what happens whenever you have a rupture, that capsule becomes thicker, right? Because your body's trying to protect itself. It's trying to say, hey, there's something wrong. And so we're gonna protect ourselves. So it made the wall of that capsule even thicker. So because of that, if you have a ruptured implant, you also have to remove that capsule, because it can have part of the implant inside the capsule. So what was going to have to happen was that regardless, the implant was going to have to come out, and I was going to have a capsulectomy on that right side. And then from that point, I either had the option um, to put a spacer in. So what they would do is, while I had radiation, they could put a spacer there, and it would save the space of that implant. And then after radiation, I would have to come back, get the spacer removed, and then put another implant in, which meant anywhere between 1 to 3 surgeries instead of just one surgery, if I had the explant. And so I immediately went with, okay, let's do the explant, because I was able to do it the same day as surgery. So my surgeon came in, he took care of the tumor itself, and then my plastics came in after that, and then she removed the implant and did the capsulectomy. All of that was done in the same day. So those were my I had lots of choices. I talked to my husband about most of them, but really almost immediately I knew what was best for me. We had done some research in those 2 months of time to where I did have an opportunity. I did have time to think about whether I just wanted to do a lumpectomy and just take the lump out, or if I really wanted to do a full mastectomy. But for me, once again, it just felt right to just do the lumpectomy. And once again, obviously, we are talking about medical things. I am a nurse, but I am not giving anyone an opinion or anything like that. I'm just telling you my story of what I chose to do. So, so then day of the surgery, it was all outpatient surgery. So I went to the same day surgery suite, was there bright and early in the morning, and I believe I had surgery around 8:30. Lots of blood work, lots of things that had to get taken care of before. I do remember walking to my surgery suite and talking to everyone in the room, talking to the nurses, talking to anesthesia, and just there was a feeling of relief, because we were finally getting it taken care of. We were finally removing that dreaded C word. So there was anxiety because nobody likes to go under. I'm pretty sure nobody likes to have to do surgery, and then obviously wondering about how you're going to feel afterwards and all of that. But for the most part, I felt pretty good about the situation and where I was and where I was going to be. So then surgery went well. Everything was great. And I remember being in recovery. My recovery was interesting. I'm not really sure exactly why this happened, but it did. But my nurse had come in, and I had just woke up, and she was like, "Oh, okay, great. You're starting to wake up. You're feeling pretty good. How's it going?" And I remember kind of being in and out of it at that point in time. And I remember hearing anesthesia saying she should be waking up soon. And then I remember my nurse like going through my vitals and doing everything. She was like, "Yeah, you look great. Anytime you're ready, you can get up and get dressed." And I was thinking, what? Like, why is Jason not here? Why is my husband not here? Like, kind of what's going on? But she was like, "Yeah, you can go and get dressed and you can leave." And I was like, "Well, okay." I was still under anesthesia at this point. Like, I was awake, but still had anesthesia running through my lovely veins. And so I got up by myself without the nurse there, got dressed, and then sat on the edge of the bed. And whenever she came back in, she was like, "Oh, great, you're dressed. Let me." I went on and told your husband that you're ready, and so he should be pulling the car up now. And I followed her out. Like, I walked out the door, and I just remember kind of just like swaying, like I was still a little drunk from the meds. Anyway, she walked me out, and my husband was there to pick me up, and he was livid because he was not able to be back there in recovery with me to help me get dressed and to help me get out to the car. Yeah, that was something that I did on the survey, the exit survey for the recovery room, I did at least put that on there that maybe there was a little problem with letting me go a little early. But anyway, I made it home. I did go straight to sleep and slept for all night and then the next day. And really, I was able to get up and move around. I felt good. I didn't have to take any pain meds. Everything on that level was great. So all of that was, I felt very good through that whole process. Then, so really recovery from surgery was just taking it slow. It was slowly start moving my body around. I think 2 weeks after surgery, they wanted me to start doing some stretches and start just really like stretching this chest area out so that things don't, so that I don't hunch forward. And really everything else was like, just take it really slow for the next 6 weeks. Which I did. I would get out and walk. I walked my baby, my little puppy here, and we did that daily. I stretched when I could. I ate very good, and just healed from the actual surgery itself. I did in that time get back that I did not have to have chemo. That was a really big deal for me because I saw mom go through chemo so many times and it wrecked her body over and over and over again. So, so for me to not have to do chemo, that was a blessing for me. And so what they did recommend though was that I have radiation and for the cancer that I had. So once they do surgery, they obviously pull the tumor out and then they send that off to figure out exactly what's going on. Like from the biopsy, they learn a lot, but from the actual tumor itself, they can learn even more. And so whenever they did go in to get the tumor, it was only 0.6 millimeters instead of what they originally thought of it being as 1 centimeter, which was great. Very slow growing. Everything that came back, every test that came back, it was improved. Everything was better than what they originally had thought from the biopsy that they gave me. And so really also too, from this time, I feel like I really have to talk about like what did I do to keep sane? Because honestly, I said the word cancer so many times it started pissing me off. I didn't like to have to tell people that I had it. I didn't like for that to be the topic of conversation every time I walked into a room was how was I feeling, what was going on, blah, blah, blah. It just got really old really fast. And I don't like talking about bad things. I never have, I never will. And so that kind of felt like a bad thing for me to talk about. So for me to keep my mind healthy, I've always been very intuitive anyway. And so I really did sit down at one point and I just did a meditation. I'm very big on meditation. And I just got really quiet with myself and just sat and just really listened to my body, to my mind of what was coming up, what I was feeling, how everything was resonating with me. And so from that point, whenever I did that meditation, that I remember it was a specific day and I was just like, what do I need? Right? What does my body need? What does my mind need? Like I was talking to you about before, I really do have a ton of tools from Tony Robbins and from pranic healing. And then just the meditation that I had done. I had done a ton of meditation prior to this. And so I had all of these tools at my grasp that I could utilize. And so I was like, okay, I know all of these things, but what do I need here now today? And one of the very first things that came to me was that I needed to start doing Wim Hof again. Wim Hof he is a gentleman that I met through Tony Robbins, and he teaches a breathing / cold therapy technique. It was immediate that I knew I needed to be doing that physically, right? That was how my body needed to start healing. And so I had already done a course with him before. And so I dove right back into it, redid the course, relearned what I needed to do, and started cold therapy immediately. And so that was huge, right? Because not only cold therapy, yes, it does the physical. It very much increases your immunity, but your vasoconstriction and getting all of that oxygen to your organs does some really awesome things. But it also helps with depression. It also helps with mindset, and it just there's so many things physically that it can do, and mentally. It was major for me to be able um, to lean into that and to get so much benefit off of it. So that was awesome. The second thing that I was kind of guided to do was Joe Dispenza meditations. Joe has been somebody that I followed for a long time as well. I love his work, and I knew that I needed to do his meditations daily. So I did. That ended up being kind of my routine as those 2 months leading to surgery. And then once I got through surgery, then I was able to go back into cold plunge, and I'd maintained breath work all the way through. And then also I maintained Joe Dispenza all the way through that as well. So if you look up either one of them, you can find Wim Hof has an app that's a free app. And then you can also do a paid version of it as well. But you can get so much information from him and from that perspective. And then Joe Dispenza is the same way. Like, you can buy meditations from him online, tons of podcasts with these guys. So if you're curious about any information with them, then I highly recommend it. They were both fabulous. And like I said, I still use them today. I will always use them, and I will always use their techniques because they helped me drastically through a time of such need and healing, and of being at peace with myself and at peace with the diagnosis. I just really needed it. I needed to take care of myself in that time, and they helped me so much to provide that. So from that point, I had to wait, almost 2 months, actually a little over 2 months, before I could start radiation. So whenever you're doing all of this, they want you to, if you have surgery, then they want you to completely heal from surgery before you start radiation. So the reasoning for that is because radiation just messes with the tissue. I don't know any other way to say it, but it absolutely changes the tissue. And so they want you to be completely healed from your surgery first before you go into that. And so the radiation itself it's easy. I mean, you go into a room, it's a big, massive, it's almost like an MRI machine is what it kind of looks like, what it reminds you of. And it comes in and all folds in around you, and then it works its way around, stops, it clicks a few times, it works its way back this way. I mean, honestly, I was on the table, I think 7 minutes a day. So the way radiation works is they want to do 5 days a week, give you 2 days off, and they do it as quickly as they can in that small amount of time. So I had to do 21 days of radiation, and so we did 5 days off too, as often as possible. So I feel like I started radiation around the 1st of November. I ended up having the flu during November. So whenever I had the flu, I did not, um, I did not go in for radiation on those days. Um, so the radiation itself, like I said, it was the act of it itself was easy. A lot of people came and said, oh, you're going to be so tired. You're not going to have any energy for doing anything. And honestly, my energy was not, it really wasn't all that bad. I do believe that a lot of that is accounted to the water that I drink, though. I drink Kangen water, which is, it's from a water ionizer. And I really made sure to stay hydrated during that whole process, um, because just like you're radiating my skin. I need to stay hydrated. I need to keep that, at least the hydration of my cells, to the best that I could. So, um, so I want to say I was probably 3 weeks in whenever I really started to notice that my skin started to change. And so for me, it was my right breast. And so it was like a square. Literally, it looks like a square um, of what was radiated. So it's kind of like it is whenever it gets burned, right? It just has this redness to it. And so with the redness comes a little bit of sensitivity. You just don't really want too many people. You don't want to touch it. Like um, the water from a shower can kind of be a little irritating sometimes. They start you off with a cream. You have to put that, or you should put it on 2 times a day. Start in the morning and then at night as well. And honestly, my skin really did not do that bad. I never had blisters. I was really, really red and a little like um, just sensitive was the biggest thing that happened to my skin. Um, and so, but other than that, and once again, I really do attribute that to my water. Everything was pretty kosher, pretty good. Um, and so my last radiation date was December 1st of 2022. And that was an awesome day because just to be like, oh, okay, I did it. I did it. I got through everything that I needed to get through. For me, I didn't even realize how heavy it had become to carry that weight, because literally I was so focused, right? I was just head down, do it, right? Just get through what I have to get through. Um, Once again, I was very focused on trying to keep my mindset and my healing at a good place as well. Jason Evans. And so I really tried to do that too. So there was so much focus on doing the cold therapy, on doing Joe Dispenza, and on just showing up every day, right? And trying to just keep my healing in the forefront. So with all of that, um, I just I feel like I just had blinders on, honestly. And I think that was a good thing for me, right? It worked, but I just never realized the weight that came with that until the day that I did get to ring the bell and say, "Hey, I'm done with treatment." I was like, "Oh, holy moly, that's what I've been carrying around," right? Like there was just a huge weight of ugh. It was just ugh. Um, and so that day was um, it was just a big day of recognizing what I had gone through, and celebrating myself through it and just being okay with with the whole process, with everything that had went down, for all of the choices we had made. Um, yeah. So that is surgery, radiation, recovery. Um, the recovery from it, I mean, honestly, I'm still recovering. I'm still to this day, like, I have, um, because your body goes through so much. And they even tell you through radiation, they're like, it's going to take you at least a year. Like, that's where the main changes happen, within the first year. But your skin's going to still even change up to 5 years. I'm like, it's crazy to me. Um, so I definitely say that I'm still recovering today. I am always trying to learn, like, what can I do to be the healthiest that I can be, to keep my mind stable, um, to keep these things from not happening again. Um, yeah. So surgery, radiation, recovery. That's it. Thank you again for joining in today. Thank you for listening. And yeah, tomorrow, or the next episode, I should say, is going to be a lot more in depth about healing, and then complications that have come up since, and really just support is a big thing. Who do you have around you, and who's in your corner to help pull you up on the days when you need it? So, thank you again for joining today. I really appreciate you being here, and I'll talk to you soon.